In this assignment, you are going to be creating a time management spreadsheet. You're going to take a hard look at what you do with your time every day and make some decisions about what's important to you and how you're going to reach the goals that you want to reach in your life by looking at how you manage the 24 hours that you have every day as your gift to us being on this planet. So let's take a look at that together. Good luck. We're going to start by opening up a Google Sheet. Spreadsheets work the same way, but Google Sheets are the online version. This is the most readily available version of Sheets. You're going to go up to the app drawer. We learned about this when we did our Google Docs, and Sheets should be on that. So you're going to open up a sheet just by calling that screen up, and you're going to start a new spreadsheet. We're going to start from a blank spreadsheet right here. You don't have to pick one of the templates, just pick one of these blank spreadsheets. And if this comes up, you can go ahead and exit out. We're just going to start with a blank spreadsheet like this. So go ahead and open a spreadsheet. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a name, and it's important that you name it. So you go up here to click on this, and if you double click, you can rename it. You're going to put your first name in with an apostrophe S, actually your first and last name in with an apostrophe S, and then time manage spreadsheet. So Mr. Tush's time management spreadsheet, or your name's time management spreadsheet. And then click off or click away, and it saves. You don't have to continue to press save with Google Sheets. It automatically saves everything. What you're going to do is you're going to name your header row. It's going to be right up here. So you're going to write in here, and you're going to type three things. The first one, you're going to type activity. So I'll click on it, and I'll type activity. You'll notice that when you type into the cell, it also shows it up here. That'll become important later on because you can act on cells that you can type in here. And if I type, for example, I go into here, the next thing I'm going to type is hours, right? If I type it up here, it goes here. If I type it here, it goes there. The third one I'm going to do is minutes. So those are the three things I'm going to do. And then I'm going to click on this right here at this one, which clicks this entire row. Now there's a term I haven't used before. These are called rows, and these are called columns. Columns go up and down, rows go across. You're going to call the first row activity, then hours, then minutes. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on one, and I'm going to go over here to bold, and I'm going to make it bold. What you want to do is you want to put down your activities on a given day. And I want you to think, this is going to take you a minute, but I want you to put in your actual activities. And you want to go with the biggest ones first. Certainly sleeping, right? Certainly going to school. And I want you to use a weekday, an average weekday, right? And then I want you to include any other particular clubs or activities you might have. So you might say basketball, or that might be dance team, or that might be something else. Then I want you to put down some other things you do. You certainly spend some time eating, don't you? All right. Certainly there should be some time in there for homework. So what do you usually leave aside for homework, right? Now, do you have, for example, other people that you have to, other things that you have to take care of? For example, do you work at a job? If you do, you want to put down a job. If you don't, leave that blank. Do you have siblings to watch over? So it's watch siblings, right? Do you play an instrument? Do you have to practice something? Do you have to practice guitar? Or, for example, do you ever go on social media to spend time doom scrolling? So you might want to put social media. All right, these are all things, or gaming, or anything like that. So your list will look different from mine, but I want you to go ahead and look at that. All right, I'm going to make a couple of changes between this and the next slide, but actually I'll just use this for our example. I obviously don't have little siblings to watch over, but you get the idea. The thing you want to do is you're going to estimate the amount of time you spend doing these things. So if you sleep, 9 hours and 30 minutes a night, write that down. You spend your average school day at a magnet school is going to be 7.25, so you're going to spend 7 hours and 15 minutes at school if you go to school at Comp Sci, right? Your basketball, maybe your basketball team practices for 2 hours after school every day. That's fine. Maybe it's just an hour and 45 minutes. You spend a half an hour at lunch. How long do you spend at breakfast? How long do you spend at dinner? Put all this together, I'm going to bet it's probably an hour and about 15 minutes in eating, right? Homework. Well, if you're a good student, you might be spending as much as an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours doing that, right? What if you work a job? Well, if you only work a couple days a week, I want you to average it out, but maybe you only work an hour on average, maybe work a total of 5 hours a week, right? Now, sometimes maybe you have to watch your siblings. Maybe that takes 2 hours during the afternoon. Now, maybe I'm just doing, well, and we'll find out. And then I want you to go ahead and put in here social media. Maybe you spend a good, 3 hours and 30 minutes doing social media. Just add all that up. All right, put in there, just if you don't know the time exactly, estimate it. Do your best. If you have to add things in here, you can go right over to here and you just keep adding it in. Maybe you just realized that you have to practice your guitar, or you're going to spend time gaming. Let's say you're going to do some gaming, right? So maybe I spend 2 hours a day gaming. So I'll go ahead and put that in. All right? Next, what we're going to do is we're going to set the wrap to work for the word wrap to work for the entire sheet. If you look, I changed this. It said watching siblings, but I changed it to watch my little sister. If you wrote something that goes beyond the column, you can set it up so that it becomes easy to read. I'm going to go up here to this left-hand corner, this box right here, and if I click on it, it selects the entire sheet. So I can click a cell, I can click an entire column, or I can click an entire row, or I can click the entire sheet. So I'm going to click the entire sheet. And then we're over this thing here called word wrap. It's right over here. You see this thing over here? And if it's not there, you have to check on these little 3 bars. It might make it appear, but it's over here under text wrap. I'm going to pick it. I'm going to pick this middle one here that says wrap. Watch what it does. It actually makes this little guy straighten out. So if it's set for this, right, where it hides things and it overlaps the next cell, then here we're going to go ahead and make them word wrap. Now, I just used a word that I haven't used before. You see each of these little things, these boxes in here, these are called cells. On a spreadsheet, that's what we call them, cells. And what we're going to do is we're going to set word wrap so that the cell keeps all the text, makes all the text visible for you. And that'll become important in a little bit. So go ahead and set word wrap for your spreadsheet. For our spreadsheet, at least we got started, but now we got to make some meaning in it, because it's just a list. It doesn't really mean much. We're going to see how much are we really cramming into our day. So we're going to add up the hours of our day and how we've budgeted the hours of our day. Now, you know basically that a day has 24 hours in it. Let's see what we wrote down in our little estimate. So a couple of language things. Remember, the horizontal sections right here are called rows, right? And then these vertical sections right here are called columns. And the other thing to remember is each one of these little boxes in the grid is called a cell. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little function underneath these cells. It's going to do some math for me. How cool is a spreadsheet? You can actually put in a formula and it will do math for you. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go right to here and I'm going to type in total. And I'm going to hit a colon and I'm going to hit total and put in a colon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this up. It takes a little more than that to get it to work. I'm going to boldface that. So I'm going to highlight those 2 cells, click and drag, go over to bold, and that allows me to highlight those 2 cells. Now, right in this spot right here, in this cell, I'm going to tell it to add up all of those hours. And the way you put in a formula in a cell, in an Excel sheet, or a spreadsheet, whether it's Excel or it's Google Sheets or Numbers or any other program, is you type the equals, and then they all use the same one. This one's basic to all of them. It's sum. As a matter of fact, it's so common that Google thought that's what I was trying to do. So I'm going to type in sum. All right, we'll go right back to it, right? And then I'm going to hit parentheses. And when I click parentheses, all those menus are going to go away. So it's equals sum parentheses. It's looking for a range of cells. I'm going to tell it, click and drag. This is the range of cells. So I just told it, add all those numbers. The last thing I do is I add a parentheses at the end. So you have to have a equals sum, open a parentheses, tell it where to look, close the parentheses, hit the return or enter key on your keyboard. Boom, 26 hours. Already I can tell I have a problem, but that's for the next section. Let's do it one more time. I'm going to hit equal. I'm going to go sum. Open the parentheses. I'm going to tell it to pick all of these. I'm going to close it. It may pick this stuff automatically. Just do it manually for now. As you get really good at it, some of those automatic features will help save you some time. Now, I've got 26 hours and 105 minutes, and that is my total in a 24-hour day. I got a pretty busy life. We're going to take a look at that next. So now you're going to do what's called the total hours spent. Now you already can tell we're going to have a little bit of a thing to deal with here because, my goodness, we have 26 hours and 105 minutes, which is more than 27 hours, and that's quite something. So we're going to go up here. We're going to create a new total called total hours spent. I'm going to go up to this cell right here. I'm going to type in total hours spent. And of course, it's bold because we bolded that entire row. And of course, it wraps because we told it to wrap. Now, we have to do a little bit of math, so stay with me. What we're going to do is we're going to go in here and and we are going to tell it to add this and this in terms of hours. So I'm going to add a special formula. I'm going to say equals, and I'm going to tell it to take whatever is in that. See what I did? I clicked equals, and I said C12, and then I'm going to put in the divide sign, rather, and I'm going to go 60. And it's 1.75 hours, okay? I'll do that one more time so you can see what I did. All right, I went kind of fast. I'm going to go over to this cell right here. I put total hours spent. I'm going to go right here and I'm going to hit equals. Take this cell, use the divide, which is that slash sign, and then type in 60. There's 60 minutes in an hour. And 105 minutes is 1.75 hours. Good luck. Cell right here for total hours spent. And we're going to add these two numbers right here. So I'm going to go equals, and then I'm going to put in this, and then I'm going to put in the plus sign, and I'm going to put in this, and I have 75 hours spent in the day. That's pretty amazing, considering there's 24 hours in the day. That's kind of a thing. So we probably want to make some adjustments to get that under 24 hours. So here's the magical part of it. I can go ahead and I can change my estimates of times that I have for things. Now, you can only change the things, this rule, you can only change the things that you can actually control. You can't, for example, as much as you might want to, say, I'm only going to go to school for 5 hours. Well, unfortunately, you have to be here for the 7 hours and 15 minutes. You talk about, your homework, you got to do that, right? But maybe, for example, you're doing your homework while you're watching your little sister. So you're doing your homework and watching your little sister at the same time. Well, you know what? I can probably take this off entirely, and as I delete that time, because I'm doing it while I'm watching my homework, take a look at what happens. This updates itself. The formulas continue to update as you work. 26.25 is probably a very good thing. I might have to sleep a little bit less, so I'm going to cut it down to 8 hours of sleep a night. 24.75, still a little bit long, but if I take a look at my basketball practice really is an hour and a half. So I'm going to put in 1 hour and 30 minutes, right? Could I put in 1.5 hours? I sure could. All right, but I'm going to do that. And then my job, maybe I have to tell my boss that I'm going to do a little bit less, so I'm going to cut my job down to a half an hour a day. If I do that up, I've got a little extra time. I'm under the magical 24. So make sure you look at your budget so that you're not spending all your time, you're not over budgeting your time and saying, gee, why aren't I getting everything done? If you plan 28 hours of activity in a 24-hour day, you can't get that done, right? So that's your next step. Numbers we're going to come up with, we're going to figure out our total hours left and our total minutes left. Because if we're budgeting really, really tight, we may not always know. So I'm going to put a heading in here that says total hours left and total minutes left. Okay, we're going to figure both of those out. We're going to add 2 more formulas. Now this one is pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward math. We're going to take this number and subtract this number from 24. And it's simple math. I'm going to go up here to this cell right here. I'm actually going to put the formula up here. I don't have to type in here. I can put it right up here. I'm going to type equals. So I'm telling it I'm doing some math. And I'm going to put in 24, right? Because there's 24 hours a day, minus. And then I'm going to do what's called a cell reference. So you take 24 minus whatever is in this cell right here. Click it, and it puts it in. And then I hit the enter key or the return key. And it says I got 0.25 minutes left. Well, 0.25 hours left. How much is 0.25 hours? Probably doing the math in your head, but remember, if we're going to change our budget, we want all these numbers to update. So for example, I go over to total. So the next thing I'm going to do is how many minutes I have left. And if I go over here and I click equals, right? And then I'm going to say this cell, and I'm going to multiply that times 60. To multiply on a spreadsheet, you hit the asterisk symbol. That is the Shift 8, or it is also, if you have a number key, it's going to be just the asterisk, all right? And then I'm going to type in 60. So I'm going to say whatever's in that cell times 60 is how many minutes I have left. So I have 15 minutes left. Now, the cool thing about this is I've given myself so much to do in a given day that maybe I got to let that job go or something for a little bit. So I let that go. Boom, now I got 45 minutes left in the day. Or maybe I need to cut down on my social media for a little bit. So if I give myself an hour a day on social media, I've got a lot more control over my time. I got 105 minutes left. All right, so if I make some changes with some of my discretional things, I really want that job, I can keep that job at an hour a day, still have 45 minutes to myself, just maybe make some changes to my social media use, or my gaming time. So you budget your time out to decide what's important to you so that you know what's going to get done. Remember, you can't change your sleep, or I'd like you to not change your sleep. Can't change that you got to go to school. Want you to stay committed to your sports teams or your clubs. If yours doesn't say basketball, but maybe it says esports, or maybe yours says commitment to the to a club. Maybe you're a part of the anime club. I want you to stay committed to your activities, but just balance and budget your time. Need to make sure you do is you share it to me. So you're going to go in here and you're going to do two things. You're going to go over to here and click share, and then you're going to share it with jtush@crec.org. You can type that right in here, jtush@crec.org, which it won't allow me to do because it's already my spreadsheet. All right. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to copy this link. So you copy the link, you click send, and then you paste that link into the Schoology page that you submit to me. Make sure I get the link, and make sure that this sheet is shared with me. Make sure the link is on Schoology and the sheet is shared with me. That's super, super important. And that's how you turn this assignment in. And good luck.